Oh, happy Tune In Tuesday. It is literally, I swear, I say this every week, November 19th. Not quite sure how that happened, but it
Yeah.
did. So the holidays are next week. Holy crap. How did that happen? So we have had the holiday theme going on for the past several weeks, and today we are having Natasha, as our guest because she is a stress management coach and expert. And I thought, wow, what a great way. We might even be able to wrap this whole thing up with a little meditation or some tips and tricks that Tasha has up her sleeve for managing stress and possibly even holiday stress. So, without further ado, what we're going to chat about today is we all know it, right? Packed schedules, financial pressures, potentially, family dynamics. Oh my, how do we manage all this stress? We need to find balance and also create space for ourselves. So, how do we manage that and all the other things? And at the same time, doing that, be able to stay calm, present, and be grounded during the busy holiday season. First of all, setting boundaries, huge. I don't know where the first time I heard this was, but no, a complete sentence. And you are able to say no to whomever you need to. So just keep that in mind because, especially at this time, your needs matter too. We're under a whole bunch of stress, and too often, as daughters, wives, mothers, sisters, we don't take the time to consider our own needs. So it's an opportunity to practice boundary setting. She
Ah,
giggles. She giggles. Mindful
sorry.
planning. So have your to-do lists, maybe not in exact detail, but if you have certain big meals that you're responsible for, breaking down the planning into smaller, more achievable tasks, just like you would approach any kind of work project, might be helpful. And then, of course, making sure that we are planning ahead with our schedule. Maybe even that's a Sunday night thing that you're planning the things that are upcoming and still trying to work in all of the things that matter, like your healthy habits. So, continuing to eat well, continuing to keep moving, making sure that we are zoning in on sleep, all of these things for sure help when it comes time to managing our stress. So, not allowing ourselves to completely let everything fall to the wayside, but figuring out what it is that you can continue doing to set yourself up for success as far as your habits and eating mindfully, nutritionally, getting your workouts in, trying not to skip them. If you need to change them, not a big deal. During the holidays, if you don't have time, it might be, hey, I've got 20 minutes. This is what I can commit to for this week. Where can you squeeze it in on your schedule? Often, first thing in the morning, or maybe at lunch, or right after work. If you can tack that habit on to something else that's going on, you're going to be more inclined to stick to it. And then again, just making sure that we are focusing in on our sleep habits, our sleep hygiene, and making sure that, we may not be partying till 2 a.m., but even if that is the case and we do overstep or overextend our stay more than we would like to, that we try our best to catch up on our sleep, which is challenging to do. And then, of course, we've got the financial stresses of the holidays. So setting a budget, get creative, right? Make some great creative homemade gifts. And of course, if you have that plan in mind, have your list when you're shopping and avoid the impulse buy. And this is where I'm going to turn the microphone over to Tasha and just helping you realize that, again, you matter. Make sure that you do connect with other folks that might be able to help you. Hand off some of your responsibilities to others and really understand that the holiday season is about gathering with the people that you love and want to be with. And make sure that you are practicing mindfulness and self-care. And with that, I'm just going to flip it over to Tasha, and you have the floor, girlfriend.
All right. Hi, everyone. Like Michelle said, my name is Natasha Gaines, and I work in stress management coaching and all things wellness. And I have spoken about holiday stress quite a few times. Holiday stress is very real. In fact, many people, moms especially, say it takes them weeks to months to recover and feel less stressed after the holiday season, which is astounding. And a recent study said that 64% of Americans polled said that they just would describe their stress levels as very and or extremely elevated during the holidays. And as we all know, stress can take a toll on your mental and physical well-being, causing anxiety, irritability, anger, sadness, even depression. Of course, it triggers a spike in our stress hormones, increasing the risk of heart attacks, stroke, headaches, fatigue. I mean, anything you can possibly think of, stress can kind of cause that. And then, of course, like Michelle spoke to, for some people during the holidays, financial obligations, gift giving can be the source of our stress. Sometimes we're triggered by holiday parties, trying to get and make it through and navigate crowded stores, having to get through an airport, traveling somewhere, and any other social obligation. Difficulty with family members. We don't always, unfortunately, get along with everybody in our family. And, sometimes too, the absence of family or lack of social connections for some people is heightened during the holidays. So there's those people too, causing feelings of isolation, loneliness. And then there's just something about the constant hustle and bustle of the holiday season that makes even a really laid back person, such as honestly myself, feel just like I'm like, ugh. Just the drivers alone, just all the traffic on the road alone is like, what is happening? So the thing is when it comes to the holidays, there's so many things like that are completely out of your control. So you can't control whether or not your flight's going to be delayed, or if your mom and dad are going to get into an argument at the supper table. Those are things that are beyond your control. And so that's why the usual tips for coping with holiday stress, such as start planning sooner or shop online to avoid the crowds, aren't always 100% helpful because life's unpredictable. So even if you successfully plan ahead and shop on Amazon on Black Friday and make sure everything's set, there's going to be another situation that's probably going to pop up that's going to throw you for a loop. So instead, learning to change the way that we relate to the things that happen during the holidays, and becoming kind of more at ease with the uncertainty of them can make a difference when we're trying to cope with that holiday stress. So I don't know, I guess some tips would be, the very first one is just reframing how you think about that holiday stress. So many people view the holiday season as an obligation because it's filled with those stressors at every turn, right? Michelle, you said, whether you need to go to this event or that event or just all that, demand on your time. But stress doesn't have to necessarily be perceived as something negative. There's many things in our lives that are cause stress that are actually, good stress, right? Like, I mean, if there was a big deadline and being able to make that deadline, that's a stressor, but that's something good because then you made the deadline, right? Or the excitement you feel when you go on a first date or something like that, or whatever, go out with friends. They can still be stressors, but they can be good stressors. So you can, when you experience stress, try to reframe your thought process and think of it from a different angle. So, for instance, we referred to this about having to give gifts to people, right? So instead of thinking of it as a way that you have to give a gift, maybe it's more you think about each person that's on your list that you're going to give a gift to and how grateful you are for each one of those people in your lives. Think of what you love about them, think of their personality, and that can often soften the intensity and the resentment even that we sometimes have of that stress. And doing so often will allow you to create an even more thoughtful gift for the person. Um, or for another example, say your flight gets delayed. There's nothing you can do about that. That's out of your control. But perhaps maybe what you needed was that extra time sitting in an airport to focus on you. Read a book, listen to a podcast, because your holidays are going to be filled with, a bunch of family visits, and you just needed that kind of downtime. So it's just kind of a way of like sort of rethinking and reframing how we look at what happens to us during the holidays. And like Michelle said, we talk about, no being a complete sentence. If somebody invites you somewhere, you don't have to say yes just because, just you don't have to go. I've already said no to two things. And part of me felt a little guilty because one of them was actually a good friend's birthday party. And another felt like, you know what? I don't care. There's just no way I want to bang out 3 events 3 days in a row. I just can't do it. My friend will be there in January. I'll see him then, right? So just learning to kind of say no to the things that you're not absolutely obligated to go to. And another thing is doing that, that just helps you to avoid burnout as well, because you're not doing anybody any favors if you're only half there, if you're resentful of being there, if you don't really want to be there. Um, Staying mindful is always a really good one. So using your five senses, Michelle and I have spoken about this before, using your five senses to kind of pay attention to the actual holidays in and of themselves. So let's say you see the flickering flames of your candle, right? The candles on the table, or you actually hear the jingling of the bells. You taste the turkey. You feel that crisp air on your face. Stay grounded in that present moment. It helps to kind of increase your sense of calm amidst all the chaos. Um, Michelle talked about keeping up with your healthy habits. You don't have to go off the rails just because it's the holiday season. I'm not saying that you have to say no to absolutely everything, but if you kind of try and keep it in line during the holiday season, then you won't get to the other side of it and go, oh man, I just totally went off the rails. Um, I'm a big advocate of saying yes to self-care, whatever that is for you. Whether that is practicing meditation, deep breathing exercises, EFT tapping. I mean, heck, even if self-care for you is taking a bubble bath or reading a good book, whatever it is, take that time for yourself. Um, Delegating tasks, that's another big one. Are you hosting everybody over this year? Ask people to do things and then accept them to do it. You accept their offers of help. Like often I know I myself have trouble accepting that help from others. Oh, I could bring this. Oh, no, it's fine. I'll do it. And then I'm spending all day going crazy prepping for people to come over, and I haven't even enjoyed any bit of it, right? It's just like all of a sudden I'm like looking to the next day, okay, everybody come over, have a good time, and then we can be done with it. And then that's not the purpose, right? Um and of course, like Michelle talked about too, holiday spending, that can be really stressful. So just try to avoid overspending, and focus instead more so on celebrating time with your family and friends. Um, and speaking of those family and friends, like I said earlier, not everybody has them, right? And if that person is you, if you find that don't have any family and friends around this during the holiday season, I mean, you can consider creating new traditions, maybe reaching out to old friends, attending community groups, just actively engaging in things that bring you joy, and never compare yourself to others. The grass is not always greener. There's always some family that's at each other's throats. I'd rather be by myself than that. And it's healthier to rethink that stereotypical holiday imagery that we're fed in the Hallmark movies, right? That's not reality. So, yeah.
I was thinking about when you were talking about that the first year my dad was not with us for the
Yeah.
holidays, and I wanted to almost change something and not have the same traditions that we always had.
Yeah.
And my family would not buy that. They wouldn't buy into it. But we've always done it this way. So,
Yeah.
I think that you're right in when certain integral people are missing, and as we're getting older, we're starting to come across more situations where family members are missing, and it can be a very sad time. And how do you deal with that grief and sadness? And I think that's
Yeah.
where the self-care, the mindfulness, and really realizing and understanding the reason for the season and making that your priority versus the traditions and the gifts and all of the things that usually come around with the holiday season. So, okay, scenario. Here we are. We are racing home from work and we need to be at a holiday gathering. And before we even get to the gathering, we forgot to stop at the grocery store and pick up whatever it was that we were supposed to bring or that bottle of wine. And now we're totally freaking out. And we're to the point where we don't even want to go to this stupid party. How do you approach that?
Well, I think in an instant like that, what would be really good is getting as grounded as you can in the moment. Um, so deep breathing exercises could probably help with that. Just take a moment to just stop and really get your breath under control. It will immediately help lower your heart rate, first of all, which when your heart rate's lowered, as you well know, Michelle, your mind gets a little clearer, right? You're able to just sort of think, you're calmer. And so what if you're a few minutes late? Do you have a bottle of wine in your closet, your pantry? Grab that and go. So deep breathing can be something as simple as just breathing in for a count of, let's say, 5, holding at the top for a count of 5, and then releasing for a count of 5. And you want to just do that for a minute or two. If it helps, you can apply a mantra to it as you're doing it. So as you're breathing in and for that count of 5, you can say, I am calm. I am peaceful. I am love. And just
Love it.
repeat that. It doesn't have to be calm, peaceful, and love. It can be whatever you want, as long as it's not, I am mad. I am ticked off. I'm going to kill someone.
All right, here's another one. That's a good answer. You're sitting around the dinner table with your family who has an entirely different political viewpoint, and the election comes up. Not picking sides, not picking sides, saying one way or another. How do you manage that?
You set a boundary and you stick to that boundary. So you simply say, without picking sides, this is a topic that's probably a trigger topic for myself and many others at this table. So I prefer if we just each can we each pick a topic that we'd like to avoid? Mine will be politics. You go next. And let's talk about something else.
Love it. Distract. Change them up.
Deflect. Distract, deflect.
Okay, another scenario. You are going to a work party and you know that you've got an idea of the fact that what the people that you're going to be around, they're going to be drinking like fish, they're going to be eating crappy food, and how do you manage your stress as you immerse yourself into that environment?
Well, I'd spend some time on my way there if I knew I was going into chaos, and I wasn't going to partake in said chaos. I would spend some time beforehand, again, getting myself grounded, and sticking to whatever I want my evening to look like. So, meditation can be great for that. Maybe have some plans in place. How are you going to act when drunk Cliff comes up to you? What will you do if you get there and there's nothing to eat? Maybe you bring something with you so you still have something to eat that's healthy if you want to do that, right? I often tell myself too, like, I don't have to stay for very long if I don't want to. If I get there and if I'm really uncomfortable, then I can just turn around and leave. But I do think that if you get yourself grounded and calm and peaceful and spend some time just telling yourself and almost manifesting, if you will, the perfect scenario for you when you get there, you're more apt to see it when you arrive.
Okay. The other one I was thinking of is, and are dreading the fact that you have to drive 5 hours to your in-laws' house to sit around at the dinner table with them. And you start almost like having this feeling of anxiety and or having a slight panic attack because you get very little time off from work and you got to spend it with some folks that you really aren't even interested in being around that long. Not only is it dinner, but you got to stay overnight at this family's house, your in-laws. How would you approach that feeling of anxiety, panic?
Yeah. Well, first, do you really have to go? But if you absolutely do, then the best thing that I find to get rid of panic, anxiety, stress when it's getting to a point of overwhelm in the moment is EFT tapping. So, if I know, Michelle, you're familiar, but if the rest of you are not familiar, EFT tapping is emotional freedom technique. And what it does is you tap on your pressure points throughout your body while stating out loud how you feel, and you cycle through them. So you would do, you cycle through them, and as you cycle through them, you keep talking about how you're feeling, and then you kind of pause when you get halfway through, and then you start talking about how you're going to release those feelings. You rate yourself from a scale of 1 to 10 at the beginning and then also at the end. So you would start, say your feelings of overwhelm are to a point you're at a level 10. You keep tapping and cycling through and releasing those feelings until you're at like a 1 or a 2. So, and the thing that I like about tapping as well is you can really do it pretty much. I mean, especially you could do it on the drive over. You only need one hand. I don't know how safe this is, but you only really need one hand to steer. You can tap with the other hand, or you do it before you leave. Or you can even just say it out loud, right? But what you could do too is if you're someplace where tapping, because tapping is top of your head, it's above your eyes, it's the side of your eyes, under your eyes, under your nose, your chin, your collarbone. You can do the center of your chest too. And then right here underneath your arm where our bra strap is, if we're female, and then you just keep cycling through. If you don't, if you are somewhere where you don't feel comfortable doing that, like say you're actually at the dinner table, surrounded by these people that you don't like, you can do this in your head while just tapping on your knee underneath the table. So I'm feeling really so I guess the narrative that you would use would be, I am feeling really stressed right now, right? I am so stressed out right now. I want to murder my in-laws. I can't believe I am wasting what little precious time I have during the holiday season, surrounded by people I don't like. The food's not even good. I gotta spend the night. I had to drive all the way here. Oh, I feel terrible about this, and it's really ticking me off. Cycle through that a few times, saying those words to yourself. And if you do have the space and the privacy to do it, you can do that out loud, right? And then you want to stop, and then you want to turn yourself around. Okay. I know this isn't my ideal space to be in for this evening. However, Aunt Jackie is kind of cool sometimes. Every once in a while, the dog's really nice. I know whatever I brought for supper is going to be good. So at least I can eat that. At the end of the day, it's less than 24 hours with a group of people who I might not really love all that much, but it brings them joy. It brings my spouse joy for me to be there. Being together with family and friends for the holidays, even if they sometimes drive me crazy, that still is a good thing. At least I'm lucky I have people to spend the holidays with, or whatever you want to say. And then you just keep talking that stress and that anxiety and that overwhelm and that resentment out of yourself and out of your body until you feel calm, until you feel like you're on a scale of 1 to a 2.
Great. Great idea. Any other suggestions, tips that you want to throw out there?
Um, guided meditation is a really good one too. So I know a lot of people when they hear the term meditation, they think like you gotta go levitate on a mountaintop and they have that monkey mind and they're not able to kind of like hone their thoughts in or keep themselves calm, especially when you're stressed out. That can be hard to do. So that's where guided meditations are really good. Because all you have to do is, sit down or lie down, as the case may be, close your eyes and listen to the person's voice. And it doesn't have to be a long period of time. Now, you can do a guided meditation just a matter of 1 or 2 minutes, and you'll already lower your stress levels. And there's tons of them you can do. You can do it while standing in line at Starbucks. You can do it anywhere. You don't have to close your eyes in order to get yourself in that sort of state. Like what you could do is there's a guided meditation that it's called a grounding meditation. I practice it sometimes when I'm in like a really long line. So say you're in a really long line and you're like, oh my God, are you serious? But you have to buy this gift or whatever it is. So you got to stay in the line. So if you just kind of don't completely close your eyes, but just lower them a little bit, so you're kind of like looking at the ground, and then just start to feel your feet, your shoes on the ground beneath you. Start to imagine that your feet are actual like roots going into the ground. Feel yourself just kind of getting steady, calmer, quieter. Just focus on that. Maybe one thing you could do, they teach you this in Tai Chi, and this helps with balance too, is just slowly pick up one foot and practice your balance a little bit. Bring that one down. Pick up the other one. Bring that one down. What you're doing when you're doing that is you're keeping your mind
Preoccupied.
entertained, right? So what it's not doing is stressing out and freaking out about how long you're standing in line. It's actually doing something to keep you calm.
Yeah. Awesome. Um, my last thing was let go of perfection. I
Yeah.
think the holidays come and go so fast, and I always say there's so much preparation for the holiday, and it's over so quickly. And setting the expectations of yourself a little bit lower, maybe, and actually giving yourself an opportunity to enjoy the company of others versus making it all about the things that have to be done or the things that are under the tree or whatever it might be, and
Yeah.
just enjoying yourself and your company and being in that present mindful moment. So
Yeah,
anyway,
that's perfect. Spend too much stressing out about the prep or the afterwards, then you're not being mindful and have you really enjoyed the holidays? And if so, then what's the point?
yeah, exactly. Anything else you wanted to add?
No, unless anybody has any questions or anything like that.
Yep, that's what I was going to ask. Anyone have any questions they want to ask? Any scenarios that you want to share?
I'd also give yourself grace. I will say that. I mean, that study that I referenced, that's over half of Americans. I mean, we're all just sort of stressed out this time of year, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And you eat 10 cookies, you eat 10 cookies, whatever. I mean,
Right.
honestly, just give yourself
Wipe the
grace.
slate clean, wipe the slate clean. But I do think it's a good idea to prepare for those times that could potentially happen. And uh, she's I do look forward to the warm Christmas cookies that come out of the oven. It's pretty much the only time that I ever bake.
Yeah.
So
Love it.
make that hit your protein early, and hey, might be 5 cookies is your lunch. I don't know,
Yeah.
but figure it out, work the numbers. So anybody on here have any questions? I don't see any questions in Facebook land. You guys good? All right, all right. I'm gonna stop recording. Thank you.